Arksen is a premium adventure lifestyle brand, designing and engineering products and experiences for life's greatest journeys. Its class-leading explorer yachts, overland vehicles, outdoor apparel, and expert-led expeditions are designed with one purpose: to create moments that make your spine tingle. The company exists to inspire a whole new generation, the Mavericks, those with a glint in their eye. In a world of transition, Arksen is a statement of intent to go a different way. Inspired by the stories of great ocean explorers from the past, Nansen, Cousteau, and Heyerdahl, Arksen creates products and adventures for the future, designed for the curious, engineered for the extremes, and built with a complete lack of compromise. Delighted to be joined by Jasper Smith, the founder of Arksen. Welcome, Jasper.
Hey, Ollie, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm great, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's a great pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
Awesome. So let's dive straight in. Prior to Arksen, you had a really successful career in technology. So what inspired you to sort of walk away from the technology and start a new business in the marine industry?
Yeah, great question. Great question. So, yeah, I think I've been lucky enough to do some extraordinary expeditions and adventures over the last sort of 40 years or so. And I think I always thought, towards the end of my career, I wanted to get back to sort of building things and, making physical things rather than digital things. And, I sailed all around the world, climbed lots of mountains, and it just felt like if I could build an adventure-focused business that exemplified the life I wanted to live, and I think a lot of people my age wanted to live, that would be really cool. And that, I guess, started with trying to create truly iconic explorer vessels that were sort of built, without any compromise. And there was nothing like it around. So partly it was ambition and desire, and partly it was, we couldn't see anything in the market that came close to what we wanted to do.
Oh my goodness, awesome. So this might be quite a big kind of broad question, but what does the spirit of adventure really mean to you?
Yeah, another great question. I think adventure is really about this sense of play, isn't it? It's, when we play, we're at our most competitive, our most creative, we're sort of our most alert, and adventure for me feels like a sense of play. And it's like, how do we find in our hearts and soul that sense of play in life? And so the sort of spirit of adventure for me is, whether that's with people you love or friends or, family and things like that, it's just about finding that sort of environment or the time in life when you just feel really alive, and you've got an ambition, and you've got the tools and the machines to set off on that ambition. So it's a very powerful human emotive force. And if Arksen can do anything, if it can bring that spirit of adventure to life in people, that will be a great success.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness, amazing. So your natural kind of adventurous nature, how has being that way inclined, how has that influenced who you are as a leader and your business decisions?
So, yeah, I guess, business is fundamentally about controlled risk, so you're always looking at, trying to push the envelope, do more than you probably can. And then you're always sort of like, pushing a little bit of backpedaling, trying to figure out, where the sweet spot is for business. And I think adventure is very similar. You expose yourself to risk. You try and do it in a controlled way. You use ropes or crampons or whatever, or, you're on a boat rather than swimming, for instance, those sorts of things. So I think there's lots of parallels in how risk is explored and managed between the thematic of adventure and the activity of entrepreneurialism and building businesses. There's lots of differences as well. The stress levels are very different. I think building a business is really about, can you control a P&L and a cash flow and an ambition within that and a vision. That's quite a lot more stressful than can I, climb this mountain or cross this ocean, until things go wrong. And then when things go wrong, when you're doing one of those other adventure activities, it takes pretty much all your mental capacity to survive it. So there's lots of parallels.
Yeah, I can imagine. So let's talk about the Arksen co-ownership scheme. So what is it that you're hoping to achieve by this?
Well, I think if you look at most people who own vessels at the moment, and you look at most vessels, they generally languish in marinas for quite a large period of the year.
Yeah,
And so we sell both to, high net worths that want to sail off and have their own ambitions for their own boat, but we also want to democratize access to boats in the ocean and the particular types of boats that we create. And a co-ownership program does that. And it achieves a couple of things that are very cool. One is it really optimizes use of the asset. Mm-hmm. So, boats love to be used, and a co-ownership program just, stretches use as much as possible. Yeah. The second thing for co-owners, obviously, it brings the price down. It takes away all the hassle of ownership because, a co-owned boat has to be managed with the crew and all the rest of it, and administration. And so all of the nuances of running your own boat and are sort of managed for you. And ultimately, it's a share of a whole, so the cost base is lower. It's generally easier to trade in and out of those things. So for me, it's really about, you look at the next 20 years of the marine industry, and that's the sort of cycle we try and think in, sort of 20-year blocks. And the zeitgeist for, the next generation, for my kids and probably their kids, is largely because of the way life is and how time's stretched, is probably less about sole ownership, but more about access. And if it's more about access, co-ownership gives you a better long-term route than charter. It gives you more flexibility, and it gives you, a very hassle-free way of owning these types of assets. So it feels to me like it's a real zeitgeist proposition. And for a company like Arksen, it sits really well alongside single ownership or it's quite nice to be able to offer both propositions. As long as we can segment well between them, that's always the issue, is for the sales teams, like how do you segment well between the propositions? But
and ultimately making boating more accessible to more people.
Yeah, for sure. I think, look, all of us in the industry just want to give more people access, more people enjoyment, and to show them how magical being, 200 miles offshore, in our case, 200 miles offshore can be, and it's such a joyful thing. And if we can share that with more people, and co-ownership is a mechanism to do that, I think it's something the whole industry should embrace. But it's not without, its complications. So it's really about the right system to manage people, because ultimately people are people, right? And we've got different opinions and things. So the framework of co-ownership, I think, is the thing to really focus on. But yeah, hopefully we've done it well. We'll wait and see.
Awesome. So what is it that you think that sets Arksen apart from other boat builders in the industry?
So I think the difference is that we didn't start with the objective of being a boat builder. We started with the objective of creating an adventure ecosystem that enabled you to live your absolute sort of best life and set off on these extraordinary journeys and voyages of discovery. And so to do that, we believed there were sort of 2 or 3 fundamentals. The first was having an adventure business at the core of the company. So, we've got adventurers like Jay Morton, who we've brought in, who has done Everest a couple of times, K2, Annapurna, has run expeditions all over the world. So we have a large adventure business that we run with Jay. We just acquired another adventure business, which we'll announce over the next few months. So that will give us, I think we'll be one of the largest providers of adventure across ocean and mountain over the next 6 months. So that's really good. The second thing is we wanted to build in purpose to the business. So we fundamentally, why does a company exist? And in Arksen's case, it exists really to try and help us understand and then conserve the ocean. So we set up a philanthropic arm called 10% for the Ocean that funds about 70 organizations around the world and about 300 marine protection and conservation projects. And it makes films. So that's just completed a 75-minute feature documentary with David Attenborough. So that purpose piece is fundamental to who we are. So our experience that we're trying to offer to a customer is come in because you love adventure, come in because you believe that conservation, research, and science are fundamental to the survival of humankind through healthy oceans. And then the third pillar is around sustainability and just making sure that the products that we build are built within the boundaries of a circular economy. So that's why we build in aluminium, we use recycled materials. Our boats on delivery are about 70% recycled content already, which is pretty extraordinary and has taken a huge amount of effort. So what I would love to get to is a point where Arksen's products talk for themselves. The boats are exemplary, built without compromise, really, really well engineered and thought through. And I think certainly the 85 and the Discovery series and the Adventure series, I think they talk to that very well on their own. But I don't want you to buy our products because they're great products. I want you to buy them because of what the company stands for, which is live your best life on the best adventures you can go on. Worship the ocean and make sure that it's conserved and that conservation is funded and understood, and that we educate ourselves around the importance of it. And thirdly, because sustainability is essential for every business to survive in the first place, and is essential for all of us. So it's those three pillars that I want you to look at when you look at Arksen and go, I'll buy an Arksen product because of that, not because of the product itself. It resonates really well with some people. And some people are just like, well, I just want a boat. So it's sort of, there's an education, but it's like we look at, say, how Patagonia and North Face and companies like that and Yeti and people like that generated their brand positions. And so, we have a lot of focus on that. And we'll see how the next sort of 10 years plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on to how the next 10 years or so goes. What's the vision for Arksen?
Yeah, so I think where we would ultimately like to get to is that we're considered to be a brand with purpose and a brand that is has set its stall around doing more good than harm. So they sound quite worthy ambitions, but if the creation of Arksen can lead to more people understanding the absolute essential nature of global ocean health, and we can set people off on a personal journey of discovery where they, go and do the Northwest Passage, or they go to Antarctica, or they go and do those things. That feels to me very successful. It feels like we've changed people's lives, we've changed their perception of the world, and I think as a business, that's really what we're about. Is can we help people go through behavior change? Because fundamentally, the next 20 years is about behavior change for all of us as we're in this transition. And so I guess we've shaped Arksen to be a brand that is about transition. And so we try and design products that will last 50 years. We try and look out 20 years. We try and, ensure that we're creating the best machines, the best tools, the best assets that you can use to go on those journeys over the next 20 years. Ambition-wise, my hope would be that we can grow it into a significant business, that it's a valuable business, that it's one that is largely community-based and community-driven. And I guess the parallels we would look at, the successful parallels we would look at, there's lots of people that haven't been there, are companies like Harley-Davidson and Winnebago who have built large communities of people that celebrate the cultures within those businesses and the products that are created. So my hope is that sort of 20 years out, we're a relatively large business, operational on multiple continents across a whole range of products, that stands for purpose first, brilliant life.
That does sound brilliant. Gosh, what a dream.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Jasper, for coming and speaking to me. I've really enjoyed our conversation. I hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Holly. It's great to talk to you. Thanks for the time. Take care now.